Welcome back to Dirt Grease Outdoor Peace. My name's Matt. We're continuing on the Apachahoe. That's what I'm going to call it now instead of Tahoe chassis donor Apache build. It's going to be known as the Apachahoe now. So what I've got now is I've got the firewall cut out of the Tahoe, and now I've flipped it upside down and put it on the horses, because I need to repair these body mounts, because this body mount is going to go back in the original location on the Tahoe frame, and then the 58 cab is going to go down on top of that, and this side is just horrible. So trying to think of a way that I can verify this height and this location once I start cutting that apart. So I don't know, this isn't set in stone yet, but I just had an idea that what if I made a jig that it had a 2x4 that's set in here with a upright on it, and then either a 2x4 here with a step up to here, or if I could just build this up to this height and put braces in it, and a way to maybe drill a hole and put a pin in it, maybe be able to duplicate exactly where it needs to go. Because what I need to do is cut these body supports off, maybe not over that far, maybe just from here, but this is all rotten, as you could see. And actually on this side I need to rebuild the inner rocker panel. And I think like this lip where they laminate all this stuff together, this is all rotten. So I think what I'm going to do is come down here on this bend and cut this off, and when I make this new body support, it's going to just come down and weld. Maybe I'll overlap it a little bit and I'll just weld it right to the good metal here. And the same on this side. This is all, it's just where this wraps down, it's just rotten in there. I'll see more once I get that cut apart. But my big idea here is that this Tahoe body is really wide compared to that old cab. So the first thing that would have to go is this outer part of the A-pillar with the door hinges on it. And it looks like I can use part of this or a lot of this, just take this piece and go right up here and just set that right in that location. Actually the height is very comparable right in this location, and it needs to come off anyways. So if I can use that material, it's good solid material that hasn't rusted away yet, and it has some nice form in it that's going to make it a strong piece. I mean, because this is just formed tin, the same material. That's nothing heavy duty. Also, I think what I can do is if I come up here, I can cut it here, cut it on this side, and I can flare that up to make this and make these flanges, and then however much I lift that up, I can just cut another piece of metal and fill that in. It's not gonna look original, but I don't care, as long as it's, it's free metal. It's already bent to be a structural piece, and so that's just the beginning plan. Now see, first of all, I'm gonna start drilling these spot welds off, I'm going to try to come up with some kind of a body knife that I can put in between the panels, and a heavy duty knife that I can put in there and pound through there to cut the glue and stuff. And I think there's actually supposed to be a nut plate in there, and this is just the original bolt is rotted off. So I figure out, which I think I have, I don't know if they gave me bolts with this other frame. I think these were off the Tahoe. But I can figure out what that, I think it's a 14 millimeter thread. I can come up with a nut or a nut plate and duplicate that on the inside. So yeah, I'll probably do some time lapse on this and give you an update here and there on what's going on. But yeah, it's nice to be to this point. It's nice to have the firewall finally out, and the lift is really coming in handy. I used the chains around the lift, and I just used that to take the firewall out of that Tahoe, which you'll see in the last video. And yeah, so we'll get started. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I got my jig made. That 2x4 fits perfect in there where the transmission tunnel comes down. I had to cut a 45 in the back of it, and I cut the corners off so that it fit in there perfect. This was a piece that I already had just laying around. It was already cut, and it had it was just a shape that I could use. It's up against this side here, and I screwed this together, and I don't know what this, they had this cage on the outside of the mount, and that thing, it must be, it wasn't one on the other side, maybe that was just rotted off, but it must be welded to the body support, because I couldn't get it off. And then all this stuff here is delicate and wanting to fall apart, so it's up just a little bit. So what I did was put a, well, they're out of there right now, but I had a shim on this end to kind of simulate the other side. So I had this board laying on top, and then I got my measurement for these, and they're almost the same. I think this one is about a 1/16 shorter, but that top board lays on there nice. And then I got a screw on each side of this, so that can go back in the exact same position. And I've also got a screw right here that goes into the back of that wide 2x8, I think it is, that piece on the bottom. And then I just eyeballed where the holes were in the mount, and I started with a pilot hole, but now I've got these 3/8 holes that go right into the old mount, and the same on the other side. So this thing is locked in there pretty darn good, and the same on this side. Goes right into the motor mount hole. So once I start getting into cutting this apart and fitting new pieces in here, I can put this jig back in here and put the holes right back where they should be for the where this will go back on the frame. So this will eventually be threaded inside there. So it might have to, once I get to that point, I could open up this hole and use the actual body mount bolts to locate the repair piece. So now I feel a little bit better about cutting into this thing and know that I can get this thing back to where it was pretty close. And standing back here looking at it, it looks pretty square when you look at that bottom line. Or just, well, the firewall is uneven, or the bottom of the toe board is uneven, so that kind of throws you off, but it looks nice and flat and true on there. So just one more thing that makes me feel a little more comfortable about cutting all this apart and starting to rebuild it.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak mind.
This has to come up just a little bit. So this is the old A-pillar hinge mount for the door that was, I don't know if it was this side or the other side, but it was on here that I drilled off. I drilled all the rivets off. So I just got that cut down to where I kind of like the looks of it. I got this all reshaped, and what I need to do is tack this here, and then I need to hammer and dolly. Actually, this bottom piece has to come up a little bit. It's bent down a little bit, so I got to shape that up and then maybe bring this down a little bit and weld that up. I trimmed off the rotten part of the firewall, the bottom of the toe board there. This is the old floor pan, and that's loose on the front. So once I get this all tacked in place, well, I really don't have to do it now. What I have to do is, there's still a piece of it in there, and this bracket here or reinforcement is good. So I'll try to go down through here and find the spot welds and figure out where I'm going to cut it, and I can get that off of there. This is actually, like I said, this has to come up a little bit, but that's going to be where the floor pan goes on now. And this is actually thicker and stronger than what was on there originally. And I've got that nice plate. I put that's where the old hinge used to be, the hinge bracket. This is where my body bolt is going to go. So I will get the inside of this piece cleaned up, and once this is all tacked in place, I had to get I think it's 14 millimeter, had to get a nut and weld the nut on the inside after I drill that hole. And then I cut off a little bit too much right here, so I'm going to take an inch of this piece I cut off and put it back on, bring it up to here, and then this piece will fold down and meet that, so that'll be nice and strong. And then the rest of this back here, I don't think I'm going to do anything else with that until I get that on the frame and then start setting the cab on top of it, because it's going to be a lot of cutting and fitting to get that cab over top of this firewall, because this Tahoe firewall is really wide. I gained quite a bit by getting rid of that hinge panel, but it's still like 64 inches, I think. So I'm just going to have to see how that fits on here, and to try to keep that firewall in as far as I can and maintain these hood hinges. But like this stuff in here might have to come out. I might have to cut this out to here. I'm just gonna have to see how that works, which it doesn't bother me in here because this is all rotten anyway. So if I could get the firewall back to here, I would be, you know, kind of killing two birds with one stone, I guess. And yeah, so that's going to be interesting. See how all that goes together. But I wanted to show you that new reinforcement. That was quite a bit of work and planning and trying to figure out how that was going to go. I'm really happy with my jig, because that is just a way to duplicate where those holes have to go. So I've got the screws in here to locate that, and I've got a little bit of a gap right there, and so I had shims in there before, so I'll just try to maintain the gap like the other side. It'll be a little bit tighter than that is where I was before. Yeah, we'll get all that figured out. So yeah, I think I'll just try to get this tacked in place, and yeah, we'll just keep moving. Got this side welded up, and I added my filler piece in here to connect the toe board to the body mount, and that's a heavy gauge metal there. I don't know if it's might not be 1/8 inch, but it's close. But I left enough material on this piece that I was able to fold this over. I had cut too much of this off because I didn't know what the plan was yet, so I had to put that back on. And that is all tied in here, nice and strong. Folded this over. I didn't weld any more of that yet because I want to set it on the frame and just double check everything. But the floor pan will go right on this and meet up to this side. I'll have to figure out where I'm going to cut that. And I got the other side cut off, and I am making a plan for that. It's a little bit different over here. This is the floor pan, so I'm going to have to cut this up towards the firewall a little bit more. I got to get the vacuum cleaner out and clean all that up. And I want to cut this, rust it out lip off of here, get that cleaned up. And it might actually be, see, they just spot welded all this crap together from the factory. So I want to cut that off and get that cleaned up. Yeah, that figured. I'm gonna have to get that piece of floor pan right out of there. That's pretty nasty in there. Pretty nasty. Yeah, see this middle piece right here is the floor pan. And it's spot welded to this. It was spot welded to this, but it's just all rotted out. And it's bad in the corner. So I think once I get this mount put back on, I'll drill these rivets and get that right out of there. And then figure out, I'll probably have to make a little angle, a little 90-degree angle piece, and join these back together. And I think what I'm gonna do with this for like the final thing on it before I paint it is put seam sealer on this and clean that up. Not really to cover up the welds. It would be hard to, because this is just tin and this is heavy stuff. I'm pretty happy with my spot welds in here. Some of these don't look so good, but it is welded really well. So I think once I get ready to paint this firewall, I'll just get some seam sealer and I'll seam seal all this stuff, and it'll protect it from corrosion, and it'll just clean it up a little bit. But that's a long ways from now. So we can see what my piece is gonna look like. What I did was put my notches in. This will probably get cut out because this piece has to get way down, so I'll have to straighten this out and start shaping that. But what I did on this side, because it's a different mount here, instead of the flat flange, what I did was cut the flange and then flatten this out. Get it in there. So that will go something like that, and I can clean this surface, and then this will get welded right to that. And then just like I did on the other side, I can cut this, and then I can use that material to fold down and join my side of my A-pillar here. So I can get my jig off of there and start shaping this up a little bit, or a lot. I should say I can get the jig off of there and shape this up a lot. So I got my repair piece all shaped up pretty good. It's actually sitting pretty close. I made this angle piece body mount to the firewall, so that goes on there like that. So that'll strengthen that up nice. And then I can do the floor pans from the inside after it's right side up. But what I did right now is I just heated everything up with a torch, and I just wiped everything down with wax and grease remover. And now I'm gonna spray weld through primer on all these surfaces, the inside of this angle piece, underneath here. This was rusty and flaky underneath there. There was some kind of a little metric stud sticking out there. I cut that off. It's actually not too bad a shape. It's a little bit thin, so I think I'm gonna fold that down and get it so it's sitting flat on there, shape it up a little bit, and then fill weld the holes and then tack the outside, and then I'm gonna hammer this down and weld that too. I was gonna try to put another piece of sheet metal underneath there, but I don't think I'm going to. It's just I don't know, I'm still a little undecided about that. I don't think I want to, because even if I sheeted this piece here is thin. One thing I was thinking about is I could put this down, weld it, and then maybe cap the whole thing with a small piece of sheet metal. Just see how it goes. But yeah, I got that fit up pretty good, and get it sprayed with that weld through primer, and then we can get to tack all that stuff on. With that all welded up, I'm going to put one more coat of that weld through primer on there, just because it's like a self-etching primer, and it'll just protect all the bare metal that I had exposed there. And there was a rust hole right in here. Part of this bracket was rusted out, so I got all that cleaned up. I put a patch piece on there, and I got everything cleaned up, welded up, ground down a little bit, blended, and I think we're ready to flip this thing over and get it on the frame. I did put the jig back on there, and I put those bolts back through there, and I spun the bolts with the impact and marked the holes. I don't know if this one I probably have to do it again now that I shot it with the primer. I think it's right here. And so it'd be interesting to see how that lines up with the frame. And yeah, so we'll keep trucking along. Well, it's sitting on there. That's an accomplishment. Now I guess I gotta check some measurements and figure out where the holes are gonna be. I guess I marked the holes where they were through the jig, and that's where they were on the old mounts, so it looks like it lined up pretty good. I guess I could raise it back up and measure between the marks that I made, or measure the holes on the jig and then compare them to the frame, make sure they look the same on the frame, I guess, and then I could just drill where I marked it. I mean, that's why I made that jig. It only makes sense. So that was a lot of work just to get those, just to rebuild those mounts. But then I have to figure out how I'm gonna make this thing fit in the cab, and it looks like this whole top piece here, I can drill the spot welds on that, pull that off. So yeah, little progress, just keep plugging away.
It's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep, move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep, move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.